University, Noida. She has done BE Civil Engineering from Andhra University and was a gold medalist. She got MTech from IIT BHU and PhD from Terry University. She is having 11 plus years of industry experience and traveled internationally for various projects. She is having 10 plus years of teaching experience. Dr. Madhuri has also worked as governing council member of Indian Building Congress and published and presented technical research papers in various international journals and conferences. She has been also a member of IEEE Institution of Engineering and Technology, IET, ISTE, Indian Society of Hydrologists, Indian Geotechnical Society, Indian Building Congress, Women in Science and Engineering. We welcome you, ma'am. Kindly share your thoughts with us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meenu Agarwal. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Oh, thank you. That was a pleasant introduction, I should say, and thank you. I feel so privileged. And at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Rashmi for inviting me for this, I think, much required uh, training workshop. We all are so busy, the faculty members are so busy that it becomes so imperative that we take out some time and just put our mind into what we are going to be doing in the coming session to keep ourselves upgraded and to ensure that the learning that we are giving, the teaching that we are doing is being perceived by the students and is along the trend. So this type of training do help us overhaul our mind, give us some time to think over it, learn from each other, and take out the best practices and try to implement to upgrade our lecture. I understand that considering this digital transformation, I would say that has been kind of enforced during this challenging time of COVID-19, which we were really not so ready. And we were not expecting that we will be forced into this kind of scenario or era so soon. We were definitely getting prepared, and all of us were prepared because ICT has come into us and in teaching a learning tool quite, I think, a decade before, but it was very slow. And this year has really accelerated the pace. So with this COVID-19, we all have been challenged, but thanks to that, we are trying to transform ourselves, take the best out of what can be done, and to ensure that the teaching is effective. So I think today is the second day, I believe, sorry, third 15th. Yeah, I think it's third day or
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, it's third
Yeah,
day
it's
of
true.
your FDP, and I'm sure that many things have already been added. And I'm not going to give you anything new. Maybe there is a new way to put up the same idea that has been shared by the previous speakers. But yes, what I think is, listening to something repetitively would definitely is a kind of enforcement or reinforcement in our mind. So having this FDP over 5 days, maybe you are not learning from every lecture new thing. But what is happening is at the back of mind, the things that is getting repeated definitely gets embraced into your mind, and you get into the mode of trying to implement that. So I think that is what my lecture will also do. Some of the speakers, previous speakers, must have covered most of the things that I am going to cover. I am just going to give it a new face and again repeat it so that it becomes, it may be like shouting out that it's a necessity that we faculty need to think how we can actually do our teaching or impart our learning in a way that it is appreciated and taken up by the students. Nowadays we are saying that students are behind the screen. Yes, they are behind the screen. We don't know what they are doing, but I think, if we upgrade our learning, teaching and learning pedagogy, then it's definitely going to make a difference. We will definitely be able to catch up, or uh, make the students stay in our class. And of course, it will also help us, because in the way we are also going to explore what is that new that we need to teach to our students, and in the new way, so that the students are hooked on to our lecture. So that is all about pedagogy. I mean, pedagogy is a vast subject, and it actually tells us how this knowledge and skills can be actually imparted, and it actually focuses very much on the interactive way of actually doing this teaching learning process. So with that small note, once again, thank you so much, and I hope that by end of this lecture you gain something, or at least the reinforcement to happen about the facts and the methodologies that has already been taught to you through different other previous lectures. So I will share my presentation. Can you please confirm if it is visible?
Ma'am, the PPT is not visible.
Oh, okay. Just give me one.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, now it is visible.
Thank you so much, Minu ma'am, for confirming that. Okay, so I'll start with the presentation. Uh, my focus would be on developing e-content based on the 4-quadrant approach. The approach that we are, I mean, that is the one of the best approach that is being practiced these days to make our content uh, holistic, I would say. So that is the topic that I would be talking about. I hope it's in slideshow mode, right, Miss Meenu ma'am?
No, no, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is absolutely visible.
Okay. So Meenu ma'am has already introduced to me, but let me tell something more about myself. I'm a civil engineering faculty with specialization in water resources engineering. I have 20 plus years of experience with a decade in industry and the other decade in academia. So I carry with me the mix of industry as well as academia. Currently, I'm looking after industry relations, but I'm also professor in civil engineering, taking classes. And yes, of course, it is in alignment with the concept that I'm going to be talking about. I'm practicing those concepts while delivering. I am information technology enthusiast, I should say that. My interest lies in combining the information technology with this core engineering, which is civil engineering. I intensively work on geographical information system. And apart from that, there are many more interest area. I am an avid adventurist, have been gone through all the trekking areas, which are almost kind of medium. Now the trekking areas in Himachal Pradesh, no, that's left out, is a tough one. So that's challenging. So I'm not taking it up at the moment, but I'm a avid adventurist. I explore a lot of open source technologies, and I am practitioner in the terms of using this open source technology for various application or technological solution. So with that, over to content of discussion. Uh, the content of discussion is again going to be very generic and open. We'll talk about the learning prefixed with digital. That is what we are here to explore about. We will move to 4-quadrant approach after that, and then the tools for e-content production, storyboarding, and much more than that. Not only storyboarding, but yes, after that, we'll also talk about production, and then how to test it, and what are the assessment aspects that we need to take into account. So learning prefixed with digital was the reason we all know, are already hearing about this industry 4.0, a big buzzword. There is a lot of digital transformation, disruptive technologies that are coming in, and the academia has to remain in the race. We cannot be behind. So we have to upgrade, we have to tune in to the technological advancement, the transformation, the industry 4.0, that's a revolution that's going on. So that's how learning has started to get prefixed with digital and is now getting into a totally a new way of delivering the lecture. Now coming to who am I addressing to? Of course, we all are faculty, fraternity, who are going to be the enabler for digital learning. What's the important component of digital learning that we need to be knowing about is e-content and the e-learning. So e-content being delivered through e-learning. This graph, yes, I have copied. I have taken by from the race between technology and education, an article by Golden and Katz published in 2010. The interesting thing that reason for picking up this was that I actually found it really very relevant. You know, this portion is very relevant. If our education system, and when I talk about education system at today in the context, I'm talking about our learning system and delivery system, learning lecture delivery system. If we don't follow the path, you know, you can see here, this yellow line shows the education and this blue line is technology. Whenever education is not meeting the technology, there is a social pain. And when this education stays ahead of the technology, the society experiences prosperity. So if the way we are progressing in terms of education, we are slow, that we have to agree. We cannot catch up with the, we cannot accelerate as much as industry is accelerating. And that is going to be a social pain if we really don't live up to the trend or the technological advances. So there is a transformation that is required, and COVID-19 has really given us that thought process into our mind that the change has to be really steep. The acceleration has to be really, really high so that the education can actually contribute to the prosperity of the society. Now, as a faculty, uh, I'm very proud to be faculty. We are the agent of change. We are an architect. Yes, at the moment when we are going through this workshop, we are the architect of program and course structure. We are the facilitator of learning process. We are the evaluator of learning outcomes. We are mentor so that we can bridge the gaps of our students in the learning. We stimulate students' motivation. We are, for ourselves, we are researcher as well who engages in scholarly activities. You can see the multifold aspect of faculty, and being an agent of change and being the one who would actually help transform the education. We need to understand and get on to the changes or the trends that are there in the market. So starting with the e-content, again, all of you must be knowing about it. Just trying to put across some of the important points. Yes, the content that are delivered through internet-based devices that qualify to be e-content. Nowadays, the e-content is evolving at a fast pace. Sophisticated electronic tools. At this point, I will pause and say, the virtual reality has taken up the stage. It's now at the top. We are just talking about combination and sound, images and text. No, it's beyond that. Now you can have that glasses on and experience the classroom in the terms of virtual reality. So that's the kind of acceleration that is happening in the pedagogy. E-content, of course, requires a lot of creativity, and that's the reason these type of workshop are being held so that we, the fraternity of faculty members, could exchange our learning and take out some of the best practices. It requires creativity both at presentation of information, collection of information, as well as at the technology level of what all tools can we use so that the information becomes more catchy and it conveys the meaning by means of the tools that are available in the market. Okay. So we are seeing that government is also putting in a lot of effort in terms of promoting and actually bringing to the public that e-content is something that's going to be in your way in the coming in near future. So Swayam portal, I have just got this example for you because you can make a note of it. There is already a course on e-content development available on Swayam. It is actually 40 to 45 hours course, and interestingly, it covers all the aspect that we talk in pedagogy: e-learning, e-content design, content authoring tools, documentation presentation tool, graphics, animation, audio and podcasting, online video creation, surveys, polling, quizzes. All this is covered. So if you really want to get into the power of e-content, understand how you can have your e-content better, this would be a good starter. Now moving from e-content to e-learning. E-learning is getting really a new look altogether. We are already seeing this Baiju, Udemy, all this Vedantu, all this catching up. Why is it catching up? I mean, sometimes the question comes in my mind, are we going to be obsolete I don't think so. If we are going to take up the plus point of building a very good story using e-content, then yes, we are there to stay, because without teachers, it's not going to really work out. There has to be someone who has to explain about it. You know, today only, before coming to this meeting, I was having a meeting with the head engineering of Minda Silica. And then he was mentioning that, you know, he had they have engineers in one discipline, and they want that their engineers should know about the other discipline as well. Then he said, we tried online online uh, courses. So they had asked their engineers to do online courses and clear it, so that they can actually learn what is required for their working. But he could not find a real quantifiable outcome. And he said that the reason that they evaluated was that it did not support teacher based learning. So he said, you know, it's very important. E-content is okay, but we need some teacher to teach us and tell us, because point where we get stuck, we want to really ask someone immediately. So we are not going to go away anyway. We will be there. But yes, e-learning is finding its face in the market, and we have to stay tuned to it. It's getting very creative. In traditional teaching, this create, evaluate, analyze, that is the top portion of this pyramid, actually was left to the student to learn by themselves. Now this is considered to be high order thinking skills, and nowadays it is kind of a practiced skill, and it is being taught nowadays. Okay, during my days, I remember, I mean, becoming orator was not something that someone thought has to be really thought or taught, has to be really taught. But nowadays, even orator, if you have to be, there are so many courses. So that's the actual, you know, high order thinking skills are nowadays being stressed upon, and it is catered to, and that is how there is requirement to rethink about the e-content designing. We all know about the e-learning elements. It contains text delivered over the internet. We can do a self-learning. There are assessment ways to find out, and there are various links already provided so that we can learn more about it. I think every one of you know about it. NPTEL, even we all are, as a faculty members, we are doing some or the other course. A lot of government initiatives are there in this area of promoting e-contents and e-learning. Some I have tried to put in few of them. Definitely a must visit for all of us. This provides us a good point to access, to get to know about various content that we could also pick up and integrate our in e-content. The learning management system which are being used, SWAYAM and NPTEL, government initiative, and others are also known to all of us. So learning management system is all in market to deliver this e-learning through innovative e-content. Now, coming to the concept of ICT enabled learning, HBO are some of the forms of ICT enabled learning. H stands for hybrid, B stands for blended, and O stands for online. Okay. Hybrid, we all are gearing up for that. You know, so tomorrow when we open up our university, we are going to be delivering our program in hybrid mode, which means that some courses of the program will be delivered in 100% online and some portion will be delivered in a virtual mode. So we are supposed to design which one and how that will be which one will we pick for 100% online and which we are going to be doing it in virtual mode. So that is hybrid mode of teaching. Then comes blended learning. Blended learning is about, when we talk about a single course, we are not talking about a program. Blended learning, generally we talk in context to course. I mean, it is again debatable. Many times we talk about blending learning with reference to blended learning with reference to program. But generally it is about a small module that we are delivering. So blended learning is when some portion of the course in a program is delivered online and other is through the through other mode. It could be a field-based learning, it could be a classroom-based learning. So together, when we combine different modes in one course delivery, then that is actually a blended form of learning. Then comes the online learning, which we are experiencing now. All the instructions are delivered through online medium. The online medium, again, we know it, we could do it synchronous or asynchronous. Synchronous is the way we are delivering our lecture, and asynchronous could be when we upload our video and the students are looking at it later on. So just like NPTEL videos are asynchronous online learning. From Bloom taxonomy for this ICT or e-learning, we also have this upgraded version of Bloom's taxonomy, which is Bloom's digital taxonomy. So all this level 1 to level 6, I am sure that you all are aware about Bloom's technology. Starting from level 1, can the learner recall or remember the information? Level 2 is, can the learner explain ideas or concept? Level 3 is about applying. Level 4 is analyzing whether the learner can distinguish between different parts. Evaluating, is learner able to justify his stand or decision? And then moving on to creating. So these are the 6 levels in digital taxonomy. This corresponds to 6 aspects of digital uh, curriculum design and delivery. So basically, when we talk about remembering, basic keywords. When we talk about understanding, it is like categorizing and tagging of bookmarks. Uh, then producing a presentation document or simulation is something of level 3. Use online survey tool is, we try to do the data analysis. Then responding on a blog or moderating research and write the text for the ebook. Now these are different aspects or the forms of this general Bloom's taxonomy, which has been mapped onto the digital taxonomy in 2008 by Andrew Churches. So we can actually look at this while we are designing our e-content. Again, this model for e-content development, a ADDIE model we call it. It is one of the popular model that is used for e-content development, where we first do analysis, then we do design, then we develop, then we implement, and then we evaluate. So in our online course, if I have to just map it across, analysis was the primary discussion meeting where we carried out and we analyzed whether our course needs some upgradation. Then we moved on to designing it so that it is in appropriate shape. If there is any component missing, if there is some upgradation required, then we started developing it, outlining how we are going to really deliver. So we say that, okay, fine, this topic we will deliver through PPT. This one we will pick up video from NPTEL. This one is where I'm going to really go into field and show the video of how to do this in field. This one is I'm going to go into lab and show how to perform this. So I have developed a storyboard. And then we try to implement it by developing an appropriate material. So if I'm going to go into lecture, I have to develop a material which is a PPT an interesting PPT. If I am talking about lab demonstration, then maybe I'll have a small video clipping that I'll prepare beforehand, which will be inserted in the PPT so that I can show it while I am delivering my course lecture. If I'm talking about some field survey or field-based activity, I will do it, or maybe, you know, I will simulate it and have a video or simulation ready so that that again can be put inside my PPT to show it to the students. So development and then implementation. Once we have implemented, yes, the final stage comes of the assessment or evaluation. So this model is a waterfall model. Waterfall model means that each stage will be, we will go to one step ahead only when the previous step is complete. So that is a waterfall model, and it is not an iterative one. That means after you have implemented, again, you will not go and revisit development. Development will be totally final, only then you will move on to implementation. So that is waterfall model. First complete analysis, then complete design, and so on. Okay, so that is the ADDIE model. So talking about analysis. So here we do two things. One, we do the task analysis and content analysis. Yeah. So in task analysis, what we do is, why we try to analyze what is the purpose of developing the e-content. Whether it is being developed for educating, or it is being developed for creating awareness, or is it for developing skill set, or is it a training module? What type of task are we going to be achieving by this e-content? Then the content analysis, which means that we have to prepare the content outline. It has to be we need to comprehend, we need to see the coverage, how much of coverage has to be done. And we need to verify the content, very important, to ensure cognitive appropriateness, factual accuracy, and competencies. That is catered by the content. So analysis phase, we do this. We first try to see why e-content, and then if at all we know why, then we find out what is the outline. Once we have outlined, then this you all must have done. We define the entire, we prepare a document with various outline of clearly stating LOs, that is learning objective, SLO, student learning objective, then what is the course delivery mode, what is the weightage of the content of the module. So all this is done in the designing of the content. And in the instructional strategy, we put in the E part of it. So content will not have any E part, but how we are going to deliver, what is the way of reaching out to the student, will have the aspect of E put into it. So here it is mentioned the instructional strategies to be stated clearly, where we use the appropriate media mix: audio, video, graphic, animation, and simulation. Then development and testing. So now once you have the content ready, you know how it has to be delivered. Now you have to do the you have to work out the nitty-gritties of it, or break down it into sub modules and subtopics, which is called creation of storyboard. It is very, very important. It will give the focus of teaching, and you will get the clarity of what has to be covered lecture after lecture. Okay, so the storyboard creation is the most important part. This is where you should give the maximum time, because once you have the storyboard ready, then you can jump on to the production part of how you are going to produce the e-content. So storyboard is all about getting into your mind, or visually trying to visualize how you are going to deliver a particular course. So development phase is all about the storyboard creation. Okay. Then once the development is done, then testing of e-content is performed before actually delivering it to the student or in the class. The implementation. Implementation is now you are ready, it is tested, and now you know that it can be delivered. So now you start implementing it. So implementing may have the media. So you may be doing it through Google Classroom, you may be doing it through MS Team, you may be doing it through Topper. So you may be using some medium to implement it. And then use the functionality of that medium to implement the storyboarding and designing that you have done. Last part comes the evaluation. You all must be knowing about it. I will not go into the terms. This is formative evaluation and summative evaluation. Okay, both of these evaluations are widely being practiced even in online mode. We are already doing the summative evaluation also, as well as formative evaluation. Now, the most important part of it, where I wanted to take up my lecture on, is the 4-quadrant approach. So when we are getting ready to convert this face-to-face learning into remote teaching, or tomorrow it would be a hybrid mode, or delivering a course in the blended format. Even if we are going to the college tomorrow and the classes starts, we definitely have to remain to this, or we have to resort to this blended learning. Only then I think we will stand accepted, because this is how the learning will get interesting, and this is how learning is expected to be. Okay, so what we are going to teach tomorrow has to be complying to 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is about the e-tutorial. That means so we'll come to each one of them. Quadrant 2 is about e-content development. Sorry, e-content, not the development part. It is about how we are going to deliver and develop our course delivery scheme so that it falls under all these quadrants. So quadrant 1 pertains to e-tutorial, quadrant 2 is e-content, quadrant 4 is about assessment, and quadrant 3 is about discussion, and quadrant 4 is about online assessment. So when we talk about quadrant 1, e-tutorial, it is the video and audio content. It could be in the form of virtual lab, it could be in the form of simulation. And these content transcription has to be done. Quadrant 2 is e-content. E-content is the material that is a supporting material that is generally uploaded for the students to refer to beyond the classroom hours. That is basically the e-content part. Okay, e-tutorial is what you are going to use while delivering your lecture in the classroom. E-content is something which post classroom, when the student can still student need to know more about something, then what are the materials that he or she can refer. So that is e-content. Then is so that those are all self-instruction material. It could be custom made, or it could be something that you refer to from the web resources. Quadrant 3 is the discussion forum. It is now important, so I was showing that top part of the pyramid. So HOTS, high order thinking. that is now kind of, no, I would say that it is something which is encouraged nowadays in the form of discussion forum. Now, discussion forum could be in the class or it could be offline. Okay, so it is a forum where the students can raise doubt, and almost on the real time basis, it can be answered by the course coordinator. So the element, this is also one of the important element of having discussion forum. Then is assessment. Assessment, again, needless to say, we all have been working on it. But nowadays, the assessment has also become very intuitive, you know. So it could be in the form of MCQ or fill in the blanks or matching questions, or even a summative or long answer questions. Quizzes are one that is more being practiced nowadays because we have a lot of tools available which support very innovative way of taking quiz. And then we have assignments. So that is about quadrant 4. In quadrant 4, even OBE, that is open book examination, is the tool that can be used, or a group discussion forum can also be used. So that is like GD. We conduct a GD. So that can also be part of assessment. So these are the 4 quadrants. If you have a course, then always divide the course and all devise it in a way, the delivery devising should be in a way that you actually have support to your course with regard to the 4 different quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so if you cover this, then this is one model which ensures that your e-content, or sorry, your e-content delivery or pedagogy, this is all about pedagogy. This actually ensures that the kind of digital learning you are doing, you are taking care of all aspects of imparting the knowledge and skills. So again, so I'll go over the content development, show you some examples of the content development with reference to the 4 quadrants that we have talked about. So once again, I'll go back to this slide. Would want you to keep this in your mind, because now I mean, the concept wise, I am done with the concept explanation. Now I will show you the implementation of this concept with reference to few examples, and talk about few tools that you could use, and you could explore more about it, and then a sample implementation in one of our course. So the first part is about e-content. So it's very important how we are going to be developing the content. So the input, we have to first prepare the input, which is nothing but storyboarding. That is the where we have our course curriculum. We look at our syllabus, we see the modules, outline it, plan out the activities, and then do a storyboarding of dividing it into small topics, ensure that all the learning outcomes are being met. Okay, then input. From there we will see what are the different process. I mean, it is nothing to be discussed. I was going through few of the lectures of this workshop. Thank you. So I was going through the workshop, and I think process has also been discussed in many of the workshops. So after storyboarding, we do a production. So production is basically bringing out the materials that we have planned for, or working out on the material through which we are going to do the course delivery. and then doing a review. That's the original process. Once we have things with us, then we need to get it reviewed and then deliver it or put it online through different types of learning management system, learning and content management system. Now, here is an example of how to create the lesson plan. I'm sure again, many of you must be exercising this already. So this is the course, for example, it has a course objective, and then you have learning objectives and the learning outcome that is there, all following the Bloom's taxonomy. It is always encouraged that the modules should be divided into subtopic. So your one module should actually have at least minimum 2 stages where you first decide on topic. So this big module, you can actually have this 3 things in the one topic, this 3 under the second topic. So you logically group them into different topics and see the logical flow of this. And then under each of this topic, have the subtopic, what in detail you are going to cover. And then align these topic along the learning objective and the learning outcome. What is the objective? Why you are going to teach this topic and what is the outcome? So this is actually called storyboarding. You have put every single aspect of it very clearly so that now you can map on which portion of subtopic are you going to cover through the presentation mode, which one you are going to cover in video mode, where you are going to use some internet resources, where you are going to show some YouTube videos, where you are going to be making your own videos for purpose of explaining some lab demonstration or field visit. So, or where you are going to be having discussion forum, or where you are going to supplement it with quizzing. Okay, so that you can outline in this storyboarding. Then we move on to the visual design. Now that is most powerful thing for keeping the students hooked in our lecture, even though they are behind the screen. If our visual design, along with the information, of course, it has to be information rich class, but along with that, if your visual design is good and you are taking help of lot of tools that are available around to make your presentation more interactive in nature and more catchy with small amount of words and more amount of talking out with in the form of infographics. That's one thing that where we win in if if we are able to have a good visual design or production. So this process is called production. So there are many technologies that support production, we know, and we have been using Office 365 and this Microsoft PowerPoint. All of us are using it, and we are seeing like how the features are really with the new version, the features are really very powerful, and we could use many of those power to make our slides more infographic supported. The other tools that I have mentioned, I mean, like Kahoot is one very much used tool where you can actually get the immediate response of any quiz or even the feedback type of form you could design. So these are few tools that are generally used. There are many support that is already available in most of this tool like PPT, wherein you could use these aspect to rather than designing by yourself. Nowadays you must have seen when you write something in PPT, it will automatically give you the design ideas. You have audio recorder inbuilt inside PPT. You can actually do a small audio recording immediately rather than doing it offline and then putting it inside the PPT. So there are various tools which has come in, which is a plugin which you could use very easily within this PPT or within other presentation and video making tools. So the general flow of any video lectures that is encouraged is that you should always start with explaining the learning objective or the outcome of the session. Then you introduce the session, introduce the concept of what you are actually going to be and why at all we are discussing this. Then get into the details of it. Always support it with application and example or case study. The students will like, because this is something which is extra that we can give to them immediately, unlike any information less as such Wikipedia or any other information that they can Google around. A related information in terms of application is always encouraged. And then sum it up. And finally, if possible, after every 2 to 3 lectures, do a small assessment to understand how much the students really understand your lecture. That was about quadrant 1. Okay, all about e-content, how you have to make it interactive, how you have to organize it, what type of tools you could use. Coming to quadrant 2, it is the material that we have to make, or we have to upload or make available to the students so that the students can do offline learning. Okay, so it could be a custom note, it could be a reference article, or it could be a short note prepared by you based on some of the journal or scientific or magazine article. It could also be newspaper cutting. If you have something, some statistics or some information which is relevant to your lecture that has come up in the newspaper, then you could also upload it. Or it could be notification or some laws or Indian standard codes or guidelines that are readily available on Government of India websites, that also could be downloaded and given as a reading material. For example, I am teaching environmental audit and environmental impact assessment. So there I know that EIA notification, which is available with Ministry of Environment and Forest, covers one of the big module. So I have just downloaded it and given it as a e-reference material. So that is one example of reading material. Then comes the quadrant 3, the discussion forum. It is an offline way. The tools are available in all the learning management e-learning platform like MS Team or Google Classroom, where you can actually use the tool to set up a discussion forum. Again, this discussion forum could be in the class or it could be out of the class. Okay. Then coming to the assessment design. It is very important when you are designing the assessment. Again, we need to follow the Bloom's taxonomy. We should always take help of it so that it gives us clarity on how we can do an assessment, how we can ensure that we are able to identify the outstanding students. Sometimes the students may not be, the outstanding student or the intelligent student may not be very interactive, may not be answering in the class, but when given a question which is based on, say, synthesis or analysis, may really respond well. So it is important to identify the plus point of all the students. So assessment is very, you have to be very innovative. So whether you want to make it or test the learning oriented test assessment, or you want to do the high order thinking assessment. So it is, when you just want to see whether the student is able to memorize or define some basic terms, that is 1 marks, or 2 marks is like understanding in detail. 3 marks is basically applying what would be the result of, suppose you have explained something, what would it result in, what approach would you use? So that is like application oriented. 4 marks is analysis oriented. Okay, so you give some case some scenario and try to ask the question related to judge whether the student is able to differentiate or distinguish or analyze. And then creativity or creative synthesis, that is the 5 marks question. So assessment design should, this type of if you try to take these framework as your checklist, it will really help you to design the course, and it will be very well designed content and the course delivery mechanism. So on doing this, like you're all ready, 4 quadrants, you have prepared the e-content, you have the reading materials defined, and you know what reading material or what additional material, reference material you have to be giving. Quadrant 4 is discussion forum, and quadrant 5 is all about assessment. So with this, you are ready to uh, go in to the class and deliver your lecture. Using this 4 quadrant approach, I think you will cover most of it, what is required. So this is a case study. I think I'll just quickly go over it. It is about a course, a topic in a course, which is networking, LAN, WAN, and internet, and the type is flipped. So you can see here the quadrant approach. The faculty has designed, like in quadrant approach, this topic, how is it going to be covered? So e-tutorial. So using the some of the video content, so it will be delivered. Okay, so the approach is videos, audio content, animation, simulation, video demonstration. E-content, that is about the reference material. So the PPT lecture that will be delivered along with this video, that will be given as e-content to the student for referring. Then discussion forum. So there will be class meeting through Cisco WebEx or MS Team. So it is a live discussion forum that is designed. And then assessment will be through the quiz. So based on the different approaches against each of the quadrant, the faculty has chosen what to do in each of this quadrant, so that the delivery of this session, this particular session, is complete and complying to the quadrant approach. Okay, so what I mean to say is that, you know, when you have this checklist in front of you, then you know that you are doing, or you are covering all aspect of it, a holistic development of the and the design of a particular course. Okay. So I think as a faculty, when I need to stick to the time, I think I am on the last but one slide. There are challenges to all the activities that we do, and this is no exception to it. A lot of challenges. I think there is nothing to really list it down. Every one of us will be agreeing to it that, you know, when we are designing, trying to design any module with respect to Bloom's taxonomy, it really need to be worked out in detail. Ensuring that 100% involvement assuring that 100% student involvement is there is again a major challenge. All of us agree to it. Retention of students' attention in remote learning, again a big challenge. So we need to keep it very interactive, you know, maybe after every short course delivery, we need to have some interaction check. Then the assessment that need to be worked out for testing what? I can hear some sound, I think, a disturbing sound. So that is again a challenge, designing an assessment so that we are able to meet this high order or HOTS aspect. Then making available to the students the reference material is also is a challenge, and the biggest challenge that we all are facing at the moment is doing practicals, really getting onto the hands-on practicals. I being from civil engineering, and many of you are from an area which needs a lot of testing in lab. We are actually missing that. Still, we do not have those type of tools which are very so intuitive in terms of simulation. We do have, it's getting into the e-learning world, but yet we have not reached that stage. I have tried using a lot of virtual labs, but none of them really gives us that feel which hands-on gives. So these are the major challenges in digital era. But yes, in the coming days, we are going to uh, we are going to have something really good. So with that, I would like to summarize that, we have been talking about it, pedagogy, and that too, the pedagogy in this digital era. So it is all around e-content. It's being the heart of our teaching. It requires high sense of creativity and thoughts that need to go in, and it actually need to be worked out very patiently and with time, and it need to have a clear cut checklist of what you are trying to meet while creating this content. Now we have to all agree that we cannot escape saying that, okay, today we have to give lecture, tomorrow I have to give lecture, so today I make e-content because it is only for the time being, and tomorrow again I'll go back to whiteboard. No, we have to accept that e-contents are going to be new normal, and it's going to be the way of our teaching, learning, and new pedagogy. So we need to brush up, and we need to stay on top of it. So with that note, thank you once again. And that is all from my side. I hope that I have reinforced few of the points that was delivered to you earlier also. And I will be very happy to share with you in case you need any more examples or any real-time application of this four quadrant approach. I'll be very, very happy to share with you uh, my knowledge in that context. So with that, I end my lecture. Thank you everyone for your patient hearing. And now the floor is open for questions, if any.
Madam, it was a good lecture, but in the quadrant, I find the sequence is different.
I'm sorry, Dr. Sujit Kumar Singh. I could hear you talk something, but there was some background sound. It was not clear. एक बार फिर repeat करेंगे?
I repeat my question, madam.
Yes, please.
We are talking about the quadrant, na? The first
Yes.
quadrant, second quadrant. But in your case, it is sequence is different, madam. The first
Okay.
quadrant you have placed, it is supposed to be the place of second quadrant.
Okay. Okay, thank you for correcting that. Maybe I'll check that up. But however, I think, okay, so in that case, I've covered all the quadrants. Maybe I will not contest that. Maybe, it may be my mistake. So I can refer to it, but kindly take that note that there are four quadrants. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sujit.
Thank you, ma'am, for this informative session and making us understand more about HBO forms of ICT, enabled learning, Bloom's digital economy, model of e-content development, and the process of content development, and technology for content production. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would also like to thank all the faculty members for joining us. I also request all the faculty members to kindly share the feedback by clicking on the link that is shared in the message box. Thank you.
Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.